Now our ride today is 10 miles. If we follow the Garmin, which I turned on, picked a 10-mile route, but I don't know if I'll end up following the route or not. Some of these neighborhood routes are really weird. Okay, it says I should go left, so let's do that. Hopefully today we'll spend a little bit of time talking about being a new e-bike rider and what challenges you face. Well, it's 92 degrees, but the sun is not directly on me because it's late in the day. It's around 7 o'clock p.m., not a.m. So we got about an hour and 10 minutes or so of sunlight still left. And that's about how long I expect to be gone, so we should arrive around dark. I went riding the other day for an hour or so at dark. I left about 8 o'clock. So by 8:20, 8:25 or so, I guess you could call it dark then. So that was my first night ride. I did not record it. I was just testing my ability to make it 10 miles without being sick or anything afterwards. Now, I seem to have gotten 10 miles down pretty well. I think I can do 10 miles without an issue. Now the question is, can I move it up to 15? I don't have any routes that are 15. Most of my routes, I have to move it all the way up to like 22. So, don't know if I want to start doing that yet or not. Well, I'm pretty sure I don't. Now I found out that I could potentially be in trouble here lately because they were harassing some person that was going around with a camera taking pictures of people's yards. Now, I have 2 cameras and I'm taking pictures of people's yards, although I'm constantly moving, where that guy was stopping and staring right at their house and taking a picture, which was freaking people out. So, I sometimes wonder if people are going to come out here and attack me one day for taking pictures in the neighborhood, which I am doing. Now, even though it's in a 90-degree period of time, it's been fairly calm the whole time today. I mean, as far as temperature, I'm not sweating or anything, so I guess the temperature is good. Hello. So that guy's still able to walk around the neighborhood, which I can't do. He was walking very slowly, but he was doing it. So I'm pretty impressed by his ability to continue to walk at his age, because I wasn't able to. There's probably a lot of people out here that can make a lot of, who are over 70 and who can still walk around blocks. But there's probably a lot of people that's under 70. Oh, hi again. I haven't seen you in a little while. Good to see you. But there's a lot of people that's under 70 that can't walk around the block either. So I happen to be one of those people that can't walk around the block. and probably will never be able to. Although they have been talking about doing injections into my knees that supposed to allow me to do that. And I talked to the doctors, and he said that it works most of the time on most people. But yeah, I have my doubts. Be nice if it worked and I could do exercises again. But kind of like one of those, they say, why don't you just try it and see what happens? But once you get that stuff inside you, is that like a permanent problem that could haunt you for the rest of your life? I don't know. Some type of gel. So I haven't decided to do it yet because I'm not too big on injecting things into my body. Whether that's a vaccine or a shot or anything, I'm pretty much have been against those things my whole life. It's not like I haven't tried some things like the flu shot. I thought getting the flu shot would be good, so I went out and got the flu shot, and within 2 days got the flu. And talked to my doctor, and he said that's just coincidence. You probably had it already in your system. So the next year, I got the flu shot, and within a couple days, I got the flu. I said, I'm beginning to see a trend here. And then the next year, I got the flu shot, and in a couple days, I got a flu. I don't know what's going on tonight. I guess I don't always notice what's happening. It's probably they have a bulletin board up here. It's probably telling us what's going on. Looks like there's no cars coming that way. How about the other way? Yeah, a lot of cars coming the other way. It looks like I can go right now. Now, apparently I'm not following Garmin's route. But I've learned that over the period of time of using the Garmin that it does not like having paths that are close together. And this is one of my original Garmin routes that I did. I won't be doing routes that are this close together anymore because it's Garmin just doesn't work. It gets confused. I've created some routes, but I took the suggestion that some people in my comment section said, which is just create two one-way maps. One map that takes you out, and then the route back, if it's going along some of the same route, you just make it a one-way on the way back, and that way you load the new route when you get ready to start heading back. So I've set up some routes like that. This is not one like that. This is one of my original routes that they cross too close together, and Garmin will stay confused most of the time. So my first advice for a new e-bike rider is that if you get a Garmin, or even if you don't, if you use any type of routing system where it requires GPS, keep the route more than one block apart. If you don't, you will probably regret it, as it always is telling you to turn around. And it's not fun. Not fun at all. So if nothing else, hopefully I've taught some people who are looking at getting a Garmin some issues that they may not know about, which is don't route your Garmin within a block of each other, or it may get confused. You should always try to keep it at least 2 blocks. Now, I haven't done many testing of 2 blocks. I know 1 block doesn't work, but now the question is, does 2 blocks work? That's a pretty good distance, so I'm thinking it will. But I have not tested that yet. I haven't done hardly any Garmin routes in the last month and a half, probably. I think the last time I did one was when I was injured. All my routes since then have me just been riding around the neighborhood doing 5 or 6 miles, trying to stay safe and and not injure myself again. This continues to be a very pretty neighborhood. The Garmin GPS system is mainly a tool that you can use to help keep you on track or keep you from getting lost. Having used it for a year now, I realize it has a lot of things it cannot do. Well, I'm better at reading Garmin than when I used to be when I started, especially. I'm still not going to be good enough to follow a Garmin that gets confused all the time. So I've learned that I'll just pedal along and Garmin will do whatever it does. Especially on a route like this. But since it's going to be close, since it's going to be dark or getting dark soon, I wanted to make sure that I didn't go too far away. So I ended up using a route that's an old route that I probably should just delete. But I needed a route in a hurry, so this was a good one to pick, as it just keeps me in my neighborhood, which is what I wanted to do. Now this route here is taking me to a big hill, which I haven't tried going up in a long time. Okay, this is when another advice comes in for the newer people, and that is know your route, so that as you are traveling on your route, you can prepare for potential problems, such in this case, a big hill. I need to get to a low gear so that I can actually make it up the hill. This area through here gets dark really early at night. It's darker sooner than some of the other areas. I think because the trees are so tall, block off a good part of the All right, so this is saying I should, I want to take the really tough one here. Might should have tried that one because I probably could make that one. This one here is going to be much tougher. I believe this is the steepest hill in my neighborhood. Oh, I take that back. We're cutting one before the steepest hill. So yay. This one's a lot easier compared to Now this is an 8-degree grade. It looks like 9. The other one I think is 15. So it climbs at a, 9 isn't too bad if you're prepared for it. On this one here, I'm not sure if not pedaling. I think even not pedaling, I could probably make it up a 9. get up to 10 or 12, or at least 12. I probably have to pedal to get up at 12. Now we'll go down the steepest hill. Try to see what its reading is. Yeah, so this is my neighborhood's steepest hill. Not the steepest hill in Colombia by any means, just my neighborhood. All right, so here we go. I have to have my brakes on most of the time to keep from wiping out when I get to the bottom. Because they got a sharp turn you have to make. If I'm going 20, I probably won't be able to make that turn. All right, here we go. There we go, did a good job. Grade 17, it looks like. So that's the one that's the toughest in my neighborhood, 17-degree grade. And that one I can't make it up with just throttle. I have to pedal, I have to put up enough energy to make it up. This one's pretty strong too at this one spot here, but I don't go all the way up. This hill has an 18-degree grade. I can't see anything. It's very hard because most of it is 15, 16, and 17, and then a little short 18. So it's very, I can barely make this, So what we'll do is turn off here. Whew. Yeah, that's way too much exercise for me. All right, let's get to decent riding gear. I don't know if I would want to live in a house that has big steep inclines either up or down into your driveway, because we do get ice. Oh man, I have to turn right here in the middle. Fortunately, I have good brakes. That's one thing I like about the Aviton Adventure, is that the standard bike starts off with good brakes. A lot of old trees in this neighborhood. Oh, and there looks like it's fallen down some parts of it before. It's a dangerous tree. There's a lot of flags, American flags on this route. I don't know if y'all seen it or not, but probably about every third or fourth house has a American flag on it. Either flying or actually attached to something like a door. And there's a potted plant, American flag. Yeah, these houses have been here for a while, so a good part of these people bought their houses. I mean, obviously not everybody, but a lot of people bought their houses like 30 years ago, so the people are, in general, older in this area. Oh, it looks like I should have turned there. So let me turn around. Yeah, I can turn around now, so I don't have to hardly even think about it. I handle my brakes correctly, I handle my shifting correctly, and I handle the pedaling correctly where I don't create any issues. And that's all without thinking now. That's another good advice. Learned how to make U-turns without thinking. Now, some of the people have talked to me about starting riding the bike, and some of the things I suggest that you need to learn how to do before you go too far is a U-turn, because you'll have to do those. Starting and stopping, just starting and stopping, because stopping you have to get off the bike, and then you have to get back on it again. So starting and stopping is pretty key to not falling. And then starting and stopping on a hill, that's the advanced category. And doing a U-turn on a hill. Now, I still don't usually try doing U-turns on hills. I try to get to a more flat area. But slight hills I can, 3 or 4 degree hill I can. I don't know if I'd try a 10-degree hill making a U-turn. I'd probably just keep riding until I found a spot, or get off the bike and turn around. Hey. Now, I don't know how many other people are like that, in which they don't want to make a U-turn on a hill. If you're in Florida, Louisiana, Mississippi, you don't have any hills, or at least southern part of Mississippi. So you don't have to even worry about it. Or the hills you have are not going to be greater than 10 degrees. I used to live in some of those places. One of the things I learned on my driving when I first started, I mean, if you watch my first 3, maybe first 4 videos of me on my bike, you'll see that I had all sorts of trouble. I had all sorts of issues. They were all beginning issues in which I don't know what I'm doing, and therefore I created problems for myself. Therefore, my suggestion is get familiar with your bike before you go on a 5-mile ride. You should ride just around your block, just in your neighborhood, maybe just in your front yard and your driveway until you find out how all the parts of your bike work. Since I was new to it, I'd made too many mistakes, even not knowing how to turn my bike on. I was trying to hold down the on button for 3 or 4 seconds, and that turns out to not be the way to turn my bike on. My bike will not turn on that way. As I found out, and was pushing my bike thinking it broke, but it was perfectly fine, I just didn't know how to turn it on. So those are things you need to learn. I still don't know how to do I looked it up 3 or 4 times, but my memory is so terrible. I even practiced it a couple times, hoping it would stick with me, and that is to walk with your bike. Have your bike walk alongside you when you're walking. It has a walk mode, Me figuring out how to get into walk mode, yeah, that's something I can't remember. I'm pretty sure it was 2 buttons. I don't know. Can't remember for sure. So when I have to walk, we just push the bike. There's no having the bike walk itself. I wish I could remember, but memory seems to be a thing that I've lost a couple of years ago. Yeah, this would have been a lot prettier if that sun wasn't in our eyes. Hopefully, maybe I can get one of the shots not be so bad. Modern roofing, I think that's the people that did my roof. So we're about halfway point right now, about 5 miles into the journey. I was intentionally trying to stay fairly close to home in case I overdo it, although it seemed like the injury, like when I got injured, I was perfectly fine when I got home. It was like 6 hours later that thing started being a problem. I also have learned that on the Avatar Adventure that once you get down below 40 that it starts giving you a little bit less power. And at first it changes so slightly you don't notice it so much until you replace it with a fully charged battery and realize how much difference it is. So when I was at 40%, I didn't realize that things were being tougher for me. By the time I got down to 10%, I was recognizing that it seemed to be a lot tougher. When I switched out the batteries, I realized with 100% accuracy that it was so much easier with a 100% battery. There's probably a setting that I can do that can show the power output that my battery is doing on my display here, but I haven't learned how to do that. I hadn't even tried to figure it out. And I'm not sure what difference it's going to make to me anyway. I just know that as it gets lower, it's going to get, as a percent of battery left, it's going to get a little bit harder. It's going to still work though, it's just going to be a little harder. One of the things I liked about the Avatar Adventures system is that do I want to turn here? I'm not sure. Maybe I'll go forward a little more. Is that it continued to provide power assistance even when you got down to 2%. You were still getting some. Now it turned out the percentage of power assist was lower, but it was still doing something. It was still trying to do its best to help you out. I noticed that some batteries and some bike systems, when you get down to 15%, they just cut off. They just stop. I guess it's a safety feature of some sort, but I don't like those. After I found out that those existed, which I did not know they existed at one point, but once I found out that some people batteries just turn off totally, just quit assisting any at all once around 15%. I was glad that I had bought one that did not do that, that it continued to help. A whole lot less help, but that help is a difference maker. And what allows me to actually make it up them hills that I would not have any shot at all making it up without that little bit extra help. Right now my battery is at 91%. So, and we're approaching 6 miles. So it's still giving me plenty of power going up hills and things. I don't think I have any other major hills. Like this hill here will probably turn out to be like a, 6 or 7 degree hill. That's probably as much as I'm going to get. Say it's 7, looks like it's a 7-degree hill. Oh, 8. So it was an 8. But still, 8 degrees I can handle without stressing myself out. I can keep it down to low and pedal, and it'll be just fine. At this power rating anyway. If it was at 20% and I come across an 8-degree hill, yeah, I may have to try a little bit harder than I would wish. Although I probably could still make it. Not sure I want to try and find out, but I'm pretty sure I could probably make it still. Just that it'd be harder. These are things you learn as you're riding your bike. You get to learn your bike and what it can and can't do, and what you can and can't do when you're on the bike. I have some people who believe that if you have an electric bike, you can make it up any hill. Yeah, that is not a true statement. So if you're one of those people who believe that you can make it up a hill just because you have an electric bike, the answer is no, that's not true. Now there's different degrees of power that bikes give you, and so the more powerful ones have a much higher chance of getting you up steeper grade hills. But all the legal ones, which is 750 watts, is illegal to be a bike. That, yeah, there are going to be hills you can't make it up around this area that I live in. I guess if you live in New Orleans, you probably don't have any hill you can't make it up. Let's see, how steep was that hill? Yeah. The Garmin will tell me eventually. See, 3, 5. I was thinking it was at least a 6. Nope, looks like a 5. So I can make it up a 5 pretty easily. But I did start trying. I did have to try a little bit. Maybe if I lowered it a little bit like this, maybe I wouldn't have to try. Let's see how this works. Yeah, I'm pushing a little bit though still. That was an 8 degree, 8% degree. 9, oh, it was a 9. That was a little steeper than I thought it was going to be. I still made it up okay though. Of course, the battery power is at 89%, so yeah, I'm probably still getting nearly 100% that it's going to give me. So, of course, I had to make it up at 8. I can make it up 17. Probably couldn't make it up at 20. I'm not sure where a 20 is for me to practice to see if I can, but I don't think I can. I can barely make it up to 17. I'm also learning how to keep from having pedal strikes. I've gone a long time without pedal strikes because I have learned to shift my feet in the right position automatically without thinking about it. Of course, I've been riding the bike now for a year, so I guess you're thinking, man, you should learn it by now. I still sometimes would run into a pedal strike, not because of me having the pedal in a bad position, but because there's a root that's sticking up out of the ground really far. So, a different reasoning there. Just trying to get my... Now, the gear that I'm in right now is 5. I was in 4 sometimes. Usually 5 is what my normal gear is when I'm on pedal assist 1 or even 2. Sometimes when I'm in 2, I switch to 6. But I don't expect to be pushing very hard up any of these hills around here. If I do, then I shift down to a lower gear, obviously, where I go down to 3 or 2. Oh. Well, I don't know. I think I could have made a U-turn and turned and went down there, but I was talking and not paying attention to Garmin, so I missed my turn. But Garmin's going to catch up with me, and because basically all I did was go down one road and come up the next one. So I guess I saved about 1/10 of a mile just then by missing that turn. Now, yesterday I was planning on going riding, but it started raining really hard. But I done all my prep. It takes me about an hour to prep to go. So I had done all my prep yesterday and planning to go, but by the time I got through prepping, it was raining. So I could not go. So I left the prep out today, so I didn't have to do the hour prep. I only spent about 15 minutes preparing, maybe 20. The battery on my GoPro, when I turned it on, I had dropped down to 88. So it lost 12% in just overnight, like 24 hours. So that's unexpected. Didn't know it would lose that much. He's looking very intently at me. A for sale flag? I told you they got flags and everything, even on for sale signs. There we go. I shifted to power assist in order to help me up this hill. Kept my pedaling at 5 gear, my pedaling gear. So I'm at pedal assist 2 and bike gear 5 for that hill, which was 5 degree, probably, maybe 6, but probably 5. Okay, this time of day, this road should be a little bit busier than we normally see it, so I may have to stop. Well, I don't have to stop. There's a sidewalk there, so I'll probably just turn onto the sidewalk. That person was started into my area. Oh, scary. Let's see. Hopefully I can get across. And there's a car coming. So I guess that went pretty well. Oh, to get back to my one point on if you're a beginner bicyclist, start to stay around your neighborhood, I suggest that until you learn to do a U-turn safely, you should try that until you finally figure it out, until you can start and stop and feel fairly comfortable about it, that you should stay in your neighborhood, close to home. And probably your first trip should be probably about a mile, because in my case, there were things that were wrong with my bike when I assembled it. Of course, I'm not a very good assembler, so yeah, a lot of that is my fault. Probably should have taken it to a bike shop to assemble. But I didn't take it to a bike shop. Instead, I assembled it. So some of the issues I had was because I did not assemble the bike correctly. And therefore, I learned what those issues were in my first few rides. So if you watch my videos, you will see that I've had several issues. So many issues that I ended up doing a video on should a senior even be allowed to buy an e-bike, because I was just one disaster after another. We probably needed some training before we bought an e-bike. But, another 4 or 5 videos later, I'm like, woohoo, this is the best thing ever. So it's all about learning. It's all about learning what you're doing. And you probably should learn closer to home so you don't have a whole lot of pushing back the bike, because the bolt that you thought you tightened down on your seat, you did not tighten down, and therefore your seat collapses on you. Or it tilts over, and you're not strong enough to stand on your pedals and pedal along or throttle along. You're not strong enough for that. I was not strong enough for that. So it was not a good experience for me at that time. So, but I keep learning. I keep getting better. Issues that I had, such as flat tires, was very bad. Did not like the flat tire issue that I had. But I've only had that one flat tire. I had a second one. So all this stuff happened early on, like first 6 rides or so. So that's the reason I recommend, if you're riding a bike for the first time, don't go too far from home until you're sure that it's broken in and you're broken in. The story that I keep telling people is that when I first got on my bike, of course I didn't know how it worked. I didn't know how it was going to kick in. Never rode an e-bike before, so I didn't know what the power was going to be like. And so I got on the bike and started pedaling forward, and nothing happened for about a second or two. And I was thinking, well, nothing's going to happen. And then it kicked in. And in a panic, I was trying to figure out what to do, and I decided the best thing to do was just to hit a tree and stop me from moving, because I wasn't sure which was the right front brake and which was the back brake, and I was afraid that if I hit the wrong brake, that maybe I would have other issues. Where I knew if I just hit the tree, I wasn't going about a mile an hour. I was going very slow, but still, I knew it would stop me, and it did. So, yeah, so stick close to home. There's no telling what you might do. I had somebody tell me his first time that he was riding a bike. He was in his yard. He was practicing trying to get on and off his bike and just fell. And the bike was landing on him. He was right there in the driveway. He hadn't got out of his driveway yet. So yeah, all sorts of things can happen. Well, this was a good ride. We got back before dark, so that was a good part. It's not even 8 o'clock yet, so good job, me. Although I did cut off about a mile. But that wouldn't have made too much of a difference. It would have still been daylight. So I'm getting closer to 500 right now, subscribers. So maybe by the end of this month, that might be something that actually happens. So nothing happens with 500, but I get to be 500, so it's a nice number, halfway to 1,000. So not bad. It's taken me a year and a month to get to 500. Well, I hadn't got to 500 yet, but if I get to it by the end of this month, take a year and a month to get to 500. All right, anyway, like and subscribe. By subscribing is the only way I'll actually get to 500. So thank you very much. Talk to everybody later.